Welcome back, kids, to Number Line Subtraction, Day 8. Grab your whiteboard and let's get ready for some fun. 704 minus 258. Now, before we get started, we know that we're going to have a 258 here. As we go to the right, we get bigger, so we're going to have 704. Now, what do you think? What do you think the answer will be? Well, if I add 200 plus 500, I get to the 700, but then I'll be too big. So we know the answer has to be less than 500. It has to be bigger than 400, but smaller than 500. So that's what we're going to be looking for. Now remember, we could solve this problem lots of ways. I like to go to my big benchmark, which is 300. I've practiced my partners enough so that it's easy for me to get to 300. Remember, we just look for what's going to make it a 90 and a 10, because 90 plus 10 equals 100. So 50 needs a 40 to get to 90. 8 needs a 2 to get to 10. So 258 plus 42 equals 300. Now, how do I get to 700? I add 400 and your 4. Don't forget to leave a 0 in the tens place because we didn't need to add any tens. 400, we don't have any hundreds there, so 400. And then 42 plus 4 is 46. And we were right. It was greater than 400 and less than 500. And we didn't have any difficulties adding because our big digits were all on the bottom. 831 minus 680. When we see this 0 in there, it makes us getting to our partners super easy. So I can just add 20 to get to 700. Now, how do I get to 831? Well, an 100 will get me to 800 and then 31. 131 plus 20 equals 151. Again, we had a big digit there, so our adding was pretty easy. $658 minus 229. Notice we have a big digit and a big digit, but then we have a big digit in the ones. So we're going to have to think a little bit when we add our tens. 229, and we need to get to 658. That's because to add our partner, we have to add a lot. We had to add 71 to get to 300. Now, how do I get to 658? I add 358, which that's pretty hard to do mentally, but let's work it out. We have a 300, but then when I look in my tens, I can see I'm going to make another 100 because there's a 70 and a 50, so a 30 would make that 800, and I would have a leftover 20, so 420. 8 plus 1 is 9. So 429. Notice 29 plus 29 is 58. Kids, remember when we worked so hard all the way before Christmas practicing our 50s and our crossing over to the next hundreds? We did that so we could practice and get really good at adding our bigger numbers. 924 minus 571. We're going to start at 571, and we're going to get to 924. We don't want to add too much and get too big, because we'd be almost 50 too big, so that wouldn't be easy. We have our big number down there, but then we have our big digit there. So let's see, we're going to add a 29 to get to 600, because 70 plus 20 is 90, and 9 plus 1 is 10. And then we're going to add 324. So 300, we don't have any more hundreds, and we're not going to make any hundreds. 20 plus 20 is 40. But before I write that down, notice 9 plus 4 makes another one, so 53. Remember I said our big digit was on the top here, and we would have problems adding there. Now 847 minus 389. We put the smaller number on the left, the larger number on the right. Now, as I look at this, I know if I add 400, it's going to be less, because that's only 789. But if I add 400, it will be more. So the answer is going to be about halfway in the middle of 300 and 400. So let's add the partner and get 11. So 389 plus 11 equals 400. Now let's jump all the way there by adding 400, which puts me to the 800, and then 47, which puts me all the way to the end. 447 plus 11 equals 458. Great job. You are doing so fabulous. Remember at the beginning of the year, you were afraid of these big numbers, and now you're like, wow, these are pretty easy. So make sure you're pausing and working all these out, and then coming back to check. So 536 plus 64 equals 600, plus 100 equals 700. 164. We knew it would be easy to add because all of our big digits were on the bottom. 284, and we need to add until we get 714. So, you know I like to go to my benchmark, which adds 16, because once I get to my benchmark, I can always jump straight there. Now, if you need to stop at 700 first, you can. Sometimes that makes it easier to add at the end. So 400, I'm not going to make another 400. 10 plus 10 is 20. 6 plus 4 is a number 30. Now, sometimes kids need to rewrite what they're adding so they can use partial sums to help them. We have 400, 10 plus 10, and another 30. So if you need to rewrite your addition problem somewhere, go do that. 229 and 436. Notice this one's super close, isn't it? So I know the answer is going to be about 200. So I'm going to add 200 that time. So 200 plus 200 is 429. Now, how do I get to 429 to 436? Well, if you need to add 1 to get to 430, and then 6 more to get to 436, you can. So 207. That was probably easier than what we've been practicing, where we add the partner, which is 71. to get to 300, and then add 136 to get to 436. We have 100, and then 70 plus 30 is another 100, and 6 plus 1 is 7. Last one. Shut the video off, or pause the video, and come back and check it out. All right, I'm going to add 13 to get to 400. Wow, I didn't space this very good, did I? And then add 25 to get to 425. You could see that they were pretty close together, which is why when I subtract them, the answer is 38. Kids, great job. We're going to practice for a couple more days and get really good at these 3-digit numbers. Keep up the great work.